Is it not gonna mess up? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for the second round of the ARC Formula 1 Championship here in Season 11. It is the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. This seems so weird to have at the start of the season. Maybe that's just me. This seems like a end-of-season type of track to me, like Abu Dhabi and Brazil are. Probably because it's the first time it showed up. Anyway, qualifying has just begun, and we are on board with, I'm not actually the first person to reach the line, second person, Christian Pacheco in, I said that guy was European, Christian Pacheco in the Alfa Romeo. Save the track tour for the second set of laps because I'm busy trying to introduce the broadcast. I am just very glad I'm not on the track. I cannot stand the circuit. So, luckily we have a group of 20 people who can. And I get to just watch them do that. So, like a tidy lap so far. I have to ignore all the background noise. First of all, my air conditioner. It's nearly 90 degrees outside right now, so that air conditioner is like non-negotiable at the moment. It's almost as bad as the desert. And there's also a person in the background who may be making noise. I don't get paid for this stuff, so it's not like I can have a soundproof recording studio like other people do. So, as Pacheco heads out of the last turn to put in, well, one of the first laps of the session. Actually, it'll be the first lap, a 29.84. I don't remember if that's fast or not. I'm not familiar enough with this circuit to tell you. Behind him, I think it's, it was Ethan Fonseca, who is actually next. Would have been Michael Ludenslocker, but they both ended up invalidating their lap times. Next is Kyler Boggs to cross the finish. And it'll be a 29.28. Also, I'm blind, that's a 29.047, not an 8. Bill Nowak reserving for HRT in the Ferrari with a 30.59. He's the only reserve in the race. Travis Van Oostendorp with a 30.49. Francis Farrand? I think it's Farrand. I've never really asked, and he's never corrected me, so I'm gonna assume it's Farrand, but he goes to provisional pole, a 28.90. Who's next on their way? Looks like it's not you, it's Jake Scarborough in the Haas is about to end his lap. He will run a 29.58, so pretty much in the middle of the middle of the spectrum for completed laps so far. Next looks like it might be, okay, no, it's not that Alfa Romeo. It has to be, that's just Pacheco on an in-lap, I'm guessing. Something moved. Idja Knickel with a 29.32. Also not long ago, Matthew Stotts ran a 29.57. So we seem to mostly be colonizing that mid to low 29s range. With a couple of the faster outliers who have run, well, faster than that. Duh. Who would be a good outlap to follow? Who's the closest one to finishing theirs, for one thing? That Merc is somewhere. Okay, that's just an in-lap on them. And is this Aston Stotts? That's the wrong corner. These two are doing something. What? Oh, that's an Aston Martin on the map. What? Help me. I cannot read this map for my life. Okay, it looks like Billy Targi is next, but Ethan Fonseca won the last race, so I'm gonna probably trust him a bit more to run a clean lap. And he will be the tour guide for the one-lap tour of Jeddah. As he gets a toe off of Michael Ludenswager, he might actually be interfered with here, and he will. So Fonseca's just gonna have to forget that. We'll just ride with Ludenswager instead. Turns 1 and 2 are basically if you put Monza turn 1 into a mirror. Turn 4 and turn 5. Turn 5 the car likes to get unbuckled through there. Turn 6 is a late apex. Turn 7 the car doesn't like to rotate ever. Turn 8, turn 9 really constricts on exit. You may want to be careful of track extending there. That was a purple sector. It was so fast I couldn't even keep up with it verbally. I mean, just because there's like 10 corners in about 30 seconds. I have no option here. And we have this chicane thing. Blinded small braking zone corner. A DRS straight, which is absolutely not straight at all. I'm amazed that we've never seen a car snap. This corner is terrible, or at least I'm terrible at it. You have to basically trail brake and do a high-speed turn, and that's never good. And then on to the final turn, which is a relatively standard hairpin. I say relatively standard. Relative to the rest of the circuit, this corner is pretty normal. It tightens on exit though, or at least the road gets thinner on exit, so you go 3 wide in, but you can't be 3 wide out. And Ludenswager will top the charts with a 28.50. Let's see, Ethan Fonseca is going to have another attempt. Since he won the last race, I feel like this is an important lap to see. And turn 1 and 2 is also relatively normal, but like pretty much every corner after that until the last one, it's just like, what? It's like some sort of weird, as Marion, last name, runs a 28.37 to top the board. It's like somebody was like, take Suzuka and take Montreal and smashed them together. And the person that they asked to do that was like under the influence. As Ethan Fonseca is once again going to be interrupted a little bit by traffic, but that car is not on a lap, so will not be in the way. I think that was Kieran Kevern. I may have butchered that. Something moved. Al-Hazmi, at his home circuit, makes a 28.58, third on the board. Anything else I've missed? Parker ran a 28.89, and that's like the only really major fast lap that's run since I last updated the board. And Fonseca will head up to the line. He will run a 28.17. Yeah, that seems about right. Probably a good thing I was riding on board for that. Just takes provisional pole by nearly 2/10. Crabtree apparently retired from the session. I'm not exactly sure why. He didn't ever run a lap, so maybe he just doesn't want to start up front. And with the madness that is this entire first sector, maybe I don't blame him for that. I never even covered this banked, sweeping carousel thing that kind of seems more like it belongs in NASCAR than Formula 1 to me. It's like a poor man's New Hampshire corner or something. Or like, maybe even Dover with actual grip. I don't know. I'm bored with one of the few cars who hadn't put a lap in yet. Kieran Kevern, who almost has the typical problem that I do through there and just doesn't turn in time because you have to apply the brakes and the steering at literally the exact same moment. Heads up to the last turn. It appears he's running pretty low wings. 202 is quite fast here. And what will the Haas driver, because I'm now European, a 29.49. Billy Tarji is on a lap, and he's one of the other few cars who hasn't completed one yet. Really, it's just down to him and Braden Sisko are the only two who haven't actually made one. And I do believe that on Braden's end, that's not, you know, he hasn't even tried one yet. I think Tarji was on an installation lap, or he may have invalidated his lap, I'm not sure. Seems quite fast so far. He seems to be running higher wings. Sticks that pain chicane. Now it's the run to the last turn. Yeah, marginally lower downforce. Considering the new downforce values in this game, smaller differences can be seen, but it's still very obvious when you know, make a better exit from the previous turn and are still doing 2 miles an hour slower. 30.35. It's not, it looked faster, I'm not gonna lie. But then again, I'd probably be running 31s. As Braden Sisko invalidates, gets a tank slapper, and that is a DNF from the qualifying session. Boy. Luckily there are no yellow flags. Or there are, but they don't, like, prevent qualifying laps. Not that anyone's actually on one right now, but in a hypothetical sense, for later, it's a good thing that there aren't any. As, the home driver, Hazmi, is about to begin his second attempt. I finally remembered to bring up the stream on my tablet alongside actually broadcasting it. That's something I probably should have done a while ago. I was looking away at turn 1 and 2. Real professional raker. I'm surprised he got away with hitting that curb. Usually you hit that curb and the car goes around. And he'll just terminate that lap. Too many errors, I suppose. Not a whole lot of cars on track. I think Johnny Parker is about halfway, most of the way actually, through his lap. Just about left the track limits. The lap is barely continuing, but oh, he's running super low wings. My God, 211 here? Does he have downforce on the car? Are the wings there? Yes, they are. 29.41, right smack in the middle of the starting grid up to this point. AJ Knickel has just begun a lap, making his way out of 2. Oh, yeah, that curb made the car unpleased. Oh. In real life, that would have been a disaster. But we have technology. We can just make cars that have made mistakes just transparent. Backing up. We'll just go and, yeah, Ethan Fonseca. He'd probably want to watch him. Current provisional pole sitter on his next attempt. Does he get further insurance on his pole position? As, well, at the moment, that's not ideal. That's an invalid lap time. We'll still have a chance to get around again and try a second time, but it won't be convenient, as I believe that it has to be Kieran Kevin is going to have quite a bit of gridlock on his final attempt here. He's ahead of both McLarens. There's still 2 other cars immediately ahead of him in the sector that will need to get out of his way as soon as possible. And that that's an Alpine, that's not a Williams. was indecisive on how to do so. And it all just comes crashing down. Car's in one piece, but I don't think you're going to be getting a lap from here. Scarborough on an out lap. Van Oostendorp, he's on an in lap, it looks like, yeah. Improved to a 30.18. My neck is cramping. It's not relevant, but... Ludenswager has exited the last turn. What will he produce on his final attempt? Oh, it's quite something, a 27.95. It broke into 27s. I really didn't think we'd do that. Fonseca will make a second attempt at his lap time. He's gonna come across Ludenswager on the way, but he can get out of the way. Marian Hazmi and Christian Pacheco all beginning their final laps. All legitimate concerns for, well, they and Fonseca are all legitimate concerns to break into that same 27 threshold with a well put together lap. So, Ludenswager has done everything he can. He just now has to just sit and wait and hope for, well, less than optimal lap times. The car just barely rotates through there. Al-Hazmi could not get to the line in time. But the other three I mentioned, Christian Pacheco, Marian, last name I can't pronounce, and Ethan Fonseca are all attempting to break that same 27 threshold. Out of the last turn, what will the Ferrari driver yield? It will be a 27.77. Lucky sevens, so that's the new pole time. Do Marian or Pacheco have something in their back pocket to challenge that, or is Fonseca going to take the pole? Marian is up to the last turn. Slightly lower wings than the Ferrari, I can tell from the top speed. Tarji retires. Christian Pacheco improves to a 28.38. Jackson Altman, who I honestly forgot was in the session, he improves. A 27.84, front row for Marian, but he's not going to snatch that pole away. And that appears to be, minus Adam Pelk, all of the laps. Adam Pelk's going to finish his lap, and that'll be the session over. And small improvement. I'm not even sure if he gained a position from that, to be honest. Don't think so. So I have to read through here now. We have Ethan Fonseca, Marian Huyten? It's a Dutch last name, so it's probably not exactly what it looks like. Michael Ludenswager, Christian Pacheco, Jackson Altman, something Al-Hazmi. He just said to just call him by his last name. Francis Ferrand, Kyler Boggs, AJ Kinnickle, Johnny Parker, Kieran Kevern, Matthew Stotts, Jake Scarborough, Travis Van Oostendorp, Billy Targi, Adam Pelk, I'm going to run out of time, Luke Allen, Bill Nowak, and then Tyler Crabtree and Braden Sisko, who didn't post lap times. Crabtree I don't think he even attempted to, and Braden Sisko I watched him attempt to, and made a small mistake that landed him in a big accident. That's open wheel racing for you, I suppose. Wait for the game to get its stuff together. There's a bug with the formation lap, so I just believe we've left it on broadcast again. That's why I had to try and speed run through the starting grid at the main screen, because it doesn't last long enough for me to read through it, and I can't cycle through the names as I highlight them either, so... Or I can't highlight the names as I read them off. As the transformation lap, in quotes.
Lap gets underway here in Saudi Arabia, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure their car's ready for the battle as the lights go out.
I forgot that trophy talks there. Slightly startled me. To be fair, person in chat, it was equally as bad in every other game. If only the announcers would show up in the race too. It'd take a little bit of load off me. The grid has formed. We should have the lights in a moment. Yep. Three, four, fifth light, and green from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Looks like Ethan Fonseca is going to get well ahead going into one, but huge start from Christian Pacheco. He might be up to second if he takes turn 2 well. Now Linslager fights his way back to second through there. Looking further back, it seems like we have not had much carnage as of yet. I say that, and I watch a wing piece go absolutely flying, and Kyler Boggs has found himself a little bit lost. Whether he was hit or whether he, made a mistake, I don't know. The camera wasn't looking over there. I'm not going to repeat that as... Oh dear, the hometown guy has DNF'd on lap 1 of the race. Foul play, I'm not sure. I missed it. And I believe this is a lap 1 safety car, the absolute staple of Formula 1 league racing. I'm not reading what I just read in chat out loud. As Bill Nowak got a 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. I assume that would mean Delta. Drivers who found the hole shot. AJ Kinnickel up to P5 from 9th. Kieran Kevern, Jake Scarborough, and Billy Targi all making up 4 places on this first lap. Luke Allen has gone from 17th to in the points in basically a third of a lap. So he's had quite the start, and he's only going to gain more positions as cars pit. So, now he's up to 7th. He's up 10 places, and he's, well, ultimately driven 1 lap. The 2 McLarens have not had the start they were looking for. They've both been dropped from top 6 to bottom 5. As Bill Nowak is forced to serve that 5-second penalty that, honestly, the jury is out as to whether or not he even deserved it, because this game's safety car Delta is about as functional as the Aston Martin in real life. It's about as functional as the Ferrari power units in real life. Unfortunately, the safety cars are not set to broadcast, so that would have been nice to save some time, but I do not believe it is. I can't exactly check, so... It's like I can't even really get into oh, well, here's how the race could play off from here, because we've done a singular lap. May as well step away and sit in front of the air conditioner. How dramatically different the safety car engine noise is to everything else. it does not seem like... Sounds quieter than a Tesla. I don't know what you're talking about. That thing is loud. Yeah, no, it's not as loud as the F1 cars are, but the safety car is not making no 1,000 horsepower either, so... I don't think the F1 cars are either, unless they're using ERS on, like, maximum deployment. But they make a lot, and they make a lot more than that safety car does. That safety car might even be governed because it is a safety car, and because of the real thing that it's, you know, the real road-going model of that car is also really fast and really powerful and might honestly be unsafe if it were driven at a maximum power. Forget it, unsafety car. You know? As there's absolutely no reason that we should not be going in this time. Everybody is here. Should look to see if, I almost actually just called him Carlos. I mean, I guess that's what some people do, but, I go by real names. Because I have all of the drivers' real names available to me in the Discord server, and because I've known most of these drivers for a couple years or more now, so... It's honestly easier to say some of these names than to try and say their usernames. Like, I'm sorry, I'm calling you Francis. I refuse to call you Fortnite Racing on broadcast every time I'm talking about you, Francis. You and your teammate. Your real names are way more pleasant to say than your usernames. And he's just gassing it up out of the final corner. Ludenswager seems to have been unaware. He's already gained his second on the Red Bull driver, and Christian Pacheco was ready, and he might have him into one. He will not. As Ludenswager, not even sure if there was a cars width there, but... And around goes a Haas. That is Kieran Kevin. I believe that was just an unforced error. It didn't look like anybody was next to him to hit him. But his car still works, so we do not need a safety car. He's lost a lot of wing, but he's not lost anything else. No. Position, you know, you get the idea. I will not do that either. As some madness going on back here. Cavern nursing wing damage. Jackson Altman, I think I watched him move a bunch. Somebody moved a bunch on the leaderboard. It's, I was gonna say it's the ultimate train. Yeah, we just had a safety car restart. No duh, there's a train going on. Nobody's had time to spread out. As Boggs will squeeze his way by on this back straightaway. Crabtree wisely decides to not contest anything there. Kevin already grabbed the penalty. Probably because he can't keep the car on the track when he's missing most of his front wing. It becomes a lot harder to turn, obviously. As Fonseca is making good his escape plan, and the Haas car is out of the session. That is on the track. He may have just understeered off into the outside barrier, and do we have another safety car on the circuit? Or is this just a virtue? It's another full safety car for a crash that's nobody is near because it happened to back there. So we get another 4 minutes of nothingness. The only thing really worth noting is Bill Nowak has pit, and he was the one of very few drivers able to reach the pit lane before the safety car was, you know, or like, you know, after the safety car was called. If he, if he gets on with it, he might be able to make up places just based off that alone. Now, the hopeful theory is, you know, as we get later into the race, less cars will be on the track, less chances of a safety car. So, eventually, we will have green flag racing, unlike a certain other ARC event we've had recently, but that's neither here nor there. Look at this very real water, unlike some other street circuit I know of that's neither here nor there either. Interesting engine audio there. I'm not reading that. As only 2 cars pit, only Scarborough and Stotts go in. I suppose not many people really have been able to wear their tires. We haven't done enough green flag running to do that. As Jake pits back onto the mediums he started the race on. Matthew Stotts is on the hard tires. Does he seek to go to the end from here, I assume? Being that on this game I haven't actually driven the Jeddah circuit in any sort of scenario other than a handful of time trial laps, I couldn't really tell you how the different tires perform. You know, it's not like, oh, the hard tires are bad because they might be, you know, oversteered, or, you know, this, you know, the medium tire is probably the race tire because it usually lasts relatively long and doesn't insta-kill you when you attempt to make a corner. But I think that's true for pretty much every track on the game. As everyone is here, but I don't think there's time to get the safety car in, unfortunately. Yeah, everyone just sitting here, but the safety car is past that last detection zone. I believe that is the threshold for... I've said that a lot today. Yeah, that's the threshold for, you know, safety car can go in from here. Is now Billy Targi pits. He is on the soft tires. Interesting call. Maybe. I mean, it's a safe bet with what we've done so far, which is the safety car is probably going to lead more laps in this GP than anybody else. You have to be alert on a street circuit. Honestly, I might not be at this rate because we've spent 5 laps under the safety car now, and we've only done 6 completed laps, so... As the safety car has absolutely no reason not to be in now. Yeah, there we go, so... As soon as the safety car stooge makes up his mind, we're gonna have an auto race today. Okay, that's kind of funny. We just have the safety car off in the distance, and here come the racers. The safety car's not even on the screen anymore, and the racers are just now turning in. That's kind of funny, I'm not gonna lie. As we're already green, and once again, Fonseca flooring it out of at the earliest possible convenience. But Ludenswager kind of had the read on that this time, so he's not lost nearly as much. Closest cars together, Francis Ferrand sends it on Adam Pelk and grabs the spot. Marion is darting across the racetrack, but he gets ahead of the Aston Martin driver. Not darting in lagging terms, just darting in terms of the way that he went through the turn. It looked kind of weird. As there's a melee down here, but it seems to have already fizzled out. Edgeconical, as you know, despite the safety car going back in, is right on top of Pacheco. As Pelk continues to be overtaken, Braden Sisko has capitalized on an error from Kyler Boggs. Which way is forwards? AJ seems to have thought about a pass there, but actually, what did happen there? Because Pacheco was ghost. I'm not sure. A massively better exit out of that chicane for the Alpine driver. We might have a battle into the last turn, but Pacheco with a battery dump and a heck of a lot less downforce is going to escape AJ's grasp. So something tells me that downforce is the reason AJ is catching and like Sector 1, but also the reason why Pacheco is not going to be easy to pass until DRS is in play. As Luke Allen looks for a lane on Francis Ferrand, doesn't find anything. That move wasn't really on in the first place, so... Well boys, we did it! We made a green flag lap. Now that I will probably jinx that, and we're gonna probably have a crash. Well, we've had a crash, but it's not a safety car, so at least there's that. Braden Sisko around in the S's. Ludenswager and Fonseca have just absolutely left the building. They're on a completely different racetrack to Christian right now. And that's, you know, that's only 3 people. That's not 18. We have one Ferrari leading and the other Ferrari running in last. Almost an entire sector of the circuit apart. And we're only on our second green flag lap. Oh, hello! What is going on? Okay, well, that seemed a lot weirder from my perspective. I believe we had a mistake. No, we didn't. Pacheco's still in third. I don't know what I'm talking about. Ignore me. DRS enabled, but we're not going to be able to use it until the back straight. Not available right now. So the Alfa Romeo is clearly both using the same setup. Parker just screeches ahead of Knickel. AJ tries to brake super late to defend that, and he just about does, but probably got a warning for that, if I had to guess. And I guess that's one way to get your elbows out. So in other words, the Alfa Romeos are basically top-fuel dragsters in this Grand Prix. They're running so little downforce that they're going to be absolutely consumed down the main straightaway every time they're in front of an Alfa Romeo. But as soon as they get into a corner, they're going to automatically screech right back ahead of it. You have to use ambush tactics on that. Try and pass them where they would never expect it, but that can also very easily lead to a crash and a penalty. So, execution is obviously necessary. It looks like Francis' friend also has just as low wings, so he can also really contend with that Alfa Romeo, but clearly the likes of, like, AJ cannot. Parker is battery dumping. He's getting up to that Alpine at a rate of concern, for the Alpine anyway. Meanwhile, further back, we have more melee going on. Altman is squeezing Jake, but to be fair, he wasn't there at the braking point, so... And off goes the Alfa Romeo. Down on the brakes goes the Alpine. Runs Parker off of the circuit a little bit. That might be a little bit messy later. Parker with a bit of an moment. An moment. Yeah, that's what the. And there's that downforce difference I spoke of. Parker's having to let off for these corners, almost braking, and unless he got wing damage from that little contact with AJ, maybe. And AJ's back there on the bumper of Pacheco, but Pacheco's gonna have the straight line advantage. AJ DRS advantage might actually even out. And now that Parker's not nearby to suddenly arrive at AJ's doorstep. And we come up to the DRS zone, AJ with the much better exit, but no battery to speak of compared to Pacheco, who's almost full. So no, we will not have an overtake here of any description. And I was right in the way of Francis has just as low wings as Parker, so that even with Parker in the slipstream, Francis is just as fast in the straight. Not just as fast, but at least fast enough to maybe keep him at bay for a while. You can really get a full extent of the top speed difference. He's not on the battery though, and Marion will also do the same. AJ cannot fight that. And that's a bit argy-bargy. This is looking like Dodgems right now. I thought for a second that they were 3Y heading out of there. That would have been a mess. They're still 2 though, as they head into turn 4. And Pelk gets his elbows out, and he stays ahead, and there's a spin from Johnny Parker, and there's a spin from Matthew Stotts. I did say turn 5 was a danger zone. Boggs just passes through. And Marion got ahead of AJ during all of that. And AJ a little bit off the apex there. He'll be under pressure from Francis, who will easily secure P5 from him. And now we're going to look at some real argy-bargy as Marion wisely doesn't attack through here, but instead gets a much better exit, and the pass is not quite made. Pacheco has so much less downforce. You just cannot contend with that. That is unbelievable. Back onto the front straight. Marion will have DRS, but has no battery. He will instead be overtaken by the Mercedes of Francis, who is clearly in the hot seat right now. He almost rear ends the Alfa Romeo and also almost misses turn 1. Also gets loose. So Marion will also get loose, I believe, unless he was bumped by the Alpine, which I do not know from that camera angle. Depth perception escapes me there. So Marion possibly has wing damage from that, because he did in fact contact that wall. Both Francis and Marion get synchronized time penalties. AJ has to use the escape rope, which actually is less likely to give you a time penalty. Billy Targi gets a time penalty, and time penalty, time penalty, time penalty. Ugh. Pacheco is the Alfa Romeo Minister of Defense at the moment, but Francis' friend is Pelk gets a penalty. Francis will challenge that assessment in a moment, or he might anyway, but I think he backed off there. Pacheco with just... That's just insane. But he, once again, Francis with the better exit from that chicane. Doesn't matter. Christian Pacheco has hit the NOS. Slipstream evens out with it, so it's going to be a braking contest into the last turn. Does Francis sneak on the outside? Yes! That's a crazy overtake from the Canadian to go on the outside, but you got to use the better downforce to your advantage, obviously, because there's no other way you're going to overtake that Alfa Romeo, as the Alfa Romeo is now missing his wing and still battling with Francis. He's forced off the circuit. I think Christian may have forgotten to change lanes and rear-ended the Mercedes. Wait, what? Game, show me a different camera. Different. Okay, I know, he has to have... I can't tell if this is damage or this is just his lower wings. Like... Come on! Give me an external camera! Thank you. He's clearly missing his wing there. So, either that's a visual thing and he's not missing it, or he is missing it, but he had so little front downforce to begin with that it doesn't even make a difference. Either way, Francis is finally released to try and catch the two leaders who are somewhere in the next time zone already. Jackson Altman, huge run on Luke Allen. That's pretty simple. Tyler Crabtree with the fastest lap. The fact that the Aston Martin's team name had to go onto a second row kind of confused me as to what that was. Ryan ahead of AJ Knickel, so he will pick up 2 Alpine positions in just a handful of corners. AJ just barely threads the needle to get back on the outside of the McLaren, but no battery, so doesn't matter. And, well, actually, neither of them have battery, but Ryan has lower wings, so it doesn't matter. He will, however, miss turn 1 completely. And now AJ will cut back at him, and this is a sketchy place to try and make a pass. Turn 4 is not a wide corner at all. And pretty much as expected, Ryan will get his elbows out and run AJ off of the circuit. I would say you're not supposed to do that, but also turn 4 is not a passing zone. It's really hard to really say, like, you know. Yes, that's Ryan running him off the road, but why pass there? Scarborough gets a time penalty. Probably dirty air disallowing him. They say this new regulation change lets the cars run closer, but that only matters so much, you know? It matters a little more in real life, as Scarborough still gets a huge exit from that chicane. Grab some DRS, and see you later. And the two leaders still do have to pit, I believe. They have not stopped. Francis has. Christian also has not stopped. But Ryan has. AJ has not stopped. And I thought he was actually going to stop as I said so. But Altman and Scarborough have. So anyone that has stopped is in a very good position right now, as finally Christian is under threat from somebody else. Ryan and him go too wide. Christian still with the Schrodinger's wing damage. He really is literally running 0 wings. We don't need downforce where we're going. Is he actually the 88 as I say that too? Yeah, he 88 miles an hour. Where we're going, we don't need downforce. We do, however, have Ryan absolutely sending it into the hairpin. That one was a little bit wild looking, at least from that camera. As Marty McFly is still under pressure from AJ, but it's just an uphill battle for the Alpine, which, you know, actually has wings on the car. 207 still gets it stuck for the hairpin. Line, it's not a hairpin, it's a chicane. DRS enabled. Does he get back up to Ryan before the last turn? Even with no battery to speak of, neither of them do. So 210 braking early for the last turn, probably to avoid running over the McLaren with his reduced downforce. Ah, Oh yeah, probably because there isn't as much element on it. So 213 is not enough to overtake into 1. Somebody who's like, I guess I'll call him their engineer. This Johnny Parker gets a time penalty for speeding. Ludenswager gets a time penalty for corners. Christian Pacheco gives Ryan a bit of a nudge into turn 4 that caused him to miss the turn a little bit. Now I believe this is tire wear. This is a little bit of low downforce setup, a little bit of I don't have a front wing, but it doesn't actually matter as much because there are less. Yeah, his, for lack of a better term, race engineer has informed me that yeah, Christian does in fact have no wing, but damage is less meaningful in this race, this season, or this game. I got there. As that is, I believe, Tyler Crabtree with blue flags getting out of the way of this train of cars. Because there are fewer elements on the front wing in this game, Christian is not as slow as he would have been in the last game with no wing. And the fact that he didn't have a whole lot of downforce to begin with is probably helping a little bit. He's probably, you know, he's not totally unused to running like this either. As Ethan Fonseca hits the pit lane to put on some soft tires. He will have an undercut on Michael Ludenswager. Where does he emerge from said pit lane? And is he close enough to... He may not even be close enough to get up to Christian. He's going to be coming out right with AJ and with Jackson Altman. He's going to be just ahead of AJ. So now it'll be his turn to try and see if he can do something about... Oh, Pacheco pit. I'm dumb. Okay, so he'll have to contend with Marion as well. Even if just for a lap or two. Actually, no, they both stopped, so he's stuck with that McLaren. AJ probably feels about a couple pounds lighter now that Christian Pacheco is no longer hogging up his clean air. But he just has 2 other cars doing that instead. DRS is about to be activated, and I think Fonseca will probably get ahead here. Oh, yeah, that's hardly even a question. He's got all the battery in the world. Marion has none of it. He needs that Energizer ERS. The McLaren will have DRS here, but I don't know how much that will help. It'll help a little bit, but his battery is just 100% drained. As Ludenswager hits the pit lane, and he has been thoroughly undercut by Ethan Fonseca. He will not even be ahead of Marion. He might be coming out alongside Scarborough in a moment. He'll be just ahead of the Haas. AJ boxes. He's on his way out, and he's been undercut. The undercut has been quite powerful in this race for the cars that actually had to pit. Looks like Boggs just pit too. Oh no, he's just nursing dead tires. As will be Jackson Altman if he doesn't just decide to grab a pair of softs. Maybe try for the fastest lap, although yeah, he may as well. The person that currently owns it, I do not believe... Yeah, no, the car that has the fastest lap is running in dead last. However, that'll probably change pretty soon, as Ethan Fonseca is on a fresh pair of tires, so... And Fonseca will probably be catching Francis before the end of the GP. Ludenswager onto the front straight. There's the 30.8. That's about as easy as it gets for the Red Bull driver. DRS, battery, slipstream. It really doesn't get easier. Also worth noting is that Francis has a time penalty. So I think this is Fonseca's race to lose, as the next car along with no time penalty is running P5. Ludenswager has just as quickly caught his teammate in the form of Marian. DRS, but this is a weird straightaway. It's not straight, you have to keep changing sides to hit the little micro apexes. As Luke Allen retires from the race, that brings out a safety car. That has made a bit of a Latifi moment, I would say. As it is a full safety car, so... where was that? Oh, he seems to have gotten loose out of the hairpin carousel thing, this. And, given one of his Pirelli tires a shave job. Francis seizes the moment, he boxes, pits for a new set of soft tires. Jake with... Oh no, those are his old tires. I'm done. Jake obviously puts on a new set of soft tires as well. Kyler Boggs, I'm absolutely shocked, didn't pit there. Track position, yes, but track position with tires this old, I'm gonna look like Charles Leclerc here in a moment, I think. He's a small fish in a big pond full of fresh, soft tires. Excuse me. Surprised it's my first coughing fit of the stream. I wish we were on broadcast safety cars. I really do. I don't even think Crofty talks here, but it would just be nice to skip ahead a little bit. You call it a Kyler Boggs moment, I'm still going to call it a Charles Leclerc moment. So now things just got very interesting. However, at the same time, they also kind of didn't, because Fonseca's the only one in the top 4 that has no penalty. Oh, I say that. Kyler Boggs is on medium tires. He's not going to stay there very long. Christian is sort of a dark horse candidate here. If only just because of how much straight line speed he has. His front wing is still gone. He intentionally told his picture to not change the front wing. Honestly, if this game does simulate no front wing, meaning more top speed, that might honestly be better. AJ is on for a good finish here as well, and all of the ones with penalties are going to be scrapping it out against all of the ones that don't have penalties. All of the ones that do have will be scrapping it out against the other guys that don't have penalties. Why? Am I like... technical difficulties. Hang on, let me turn my brain on and off real quick. I'm like an Apple phone. This Crabtree has retired from the session. I think Ericsson hit him or something. Okay, let me try this again. The cars with penalties will mainly be scrapping with the other cars that have penalties. Like Jake, Marian, and Francis, and Ludenswager, and the ones that don't have penalties, the ones fighting for the win, would be Fonseca, Pacheco, and AJ. Okay, I'm done with the Rikerisms. I remembered how to speak English. Very crucial element of commentary. The game might force the safety car in this lap, despite the fact that Bill Nowak is currently over in Qatar right now. Suddenly, engine. Let's see what does the safety car do? That's the sector line, so it is going another lap. Darn it, Bill! So we're going to have basically a NASCAR overtime restart. We're going to have 2 to go, and I fully expect there to be at least 1 crash going into turn 1. How bad of a crash, I don't know, but I won't be able to bring out another safety car. So. It'll be a 2-lap sprint. Suddenly now Kyler's not looking in such a bad place because he's only got to defend for 2 laps. Neither of those laps, DRS isn't even going to be in play for the rest of the GP, so... That honestly makes Christian all the more scary, because he doesn't need DRS. He has no downforce and no fear. Christian is DRS. Yeah, his DRS, he has DRS. When he took his front wing off, that's drag reduction right there. It's like it's stuck open, but it's also on the wrong side of the vehicle. Admittedly, seeing Red Bull, Ferrari, 2 Mercs as the top 4, that's harrowingly realistic. And then we just have an Alfa Romeo and an Alpine and then a Haas, and then the McLarens, which honestly, it's kind of feasible. Honestly, the only part of this running order right now that doesn't make any sense is the fact that there's a Red Bull and a Ferrari at the back, too. Red Bull and Ferrari are the 2 bookends of the running order. A Red Bull in the lead, and a Red Bull and Ferrari in second, but also a Red Bull in second to last, and a Ferrari in last. And the safety car is in fact in this lap, and Ludenswager is not slowing down for it too much. Does he use the Fonseca strategy? Does he just gas it up out of the last turn? No. Now he gasses it up. He gasses it up like on the little exit curb there. That is absolutely stacked everybody up. And I think Francis technically overtook before the finish there, but it's his teammate. I don't really know what that'll do. As we are 3 wide in the middle of the pack, suddenly we've had no big crash. And people around here are just kind of lucky to survive at the moment. AJ will thread the needle, sneak his way around the bogs. We have a spin. Or, I thought we did. We had a yellow flag. My voice. And indeed, Kyler Boggs is plummeting. Christian with no wing, he didn't really have the greatest restart there. Maybe he lost a little bit of control, and that's why we had the caution. Goodness, that's safe, especially with no front wing. He saves the car, and he's still going to be able to out-drag Altman towards the apex of the next turn. We have a yellow again. And I still don't know what... Oh, Ethan is around. I don't know if that was a contest of wills between him and Ludenswager, but he is not going to win the GP, all because of that safety car. Suddenly, AJ is in a randomly applicable position to take the win if he stays, like, right here. But if Ludenswager gets any little further bit ahead, he will win the Grand Prix. And right now that's precisely what he is doing. He's made it to 2.9, but AJ has been very fast in the high-speed S's, so even with a bit of dirty air from Ryan, the slipstream off of that car will also help. Plus, Francis is definitely catching that Red Bull, so we're also going to have a battle for the lead on two fronts. We're going to have the battle for the lead on track. As Francis twitches, that looked like that was near death. Francis twitches, so maybe we won't have that battle. And AJ is losing time. He's not even in the slipstream of Ryan anymore. Francis, lower wings, slightly more battery. But Ludenswager just got a huge exit from that hairpin, so I think that'll about do it. There's a yellow in the back for Bill Nowak. Last corner, nothing doing. And so, he's already won in NASCAR, he's already won a race in GT3. Now Michael Ludenswager is going to grab a victory in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Ryan with the fastest lap. AJ promoted to P3 on penalties. And a lot of changes from penalties. I get absolutely startled by the F1 theme. Ryan is the game-chosen driver of the day. Up on the podium, there's no seizure lighting for once, which is rare. There is a button thing on the corner there, I don't know why that's there, but... So Ludenswager has won his third race of the ARC season, and we've only done, like, what, 6 races so far, across all series? 7. And unofficial results as the stewards will look at the penalties and all of that. Michael Ludenswager, Francis Frand, AJ Knickel grabs or siphons a podium from nothing. And certainly he went from 9th to 3rd. I don't know why they gave Orion driver of the day. He's 4th, Christian Pacheco 5th. Parker recovers from multiple spins to grab P6, so double points for Alpha. Double points for Merck as Kyler Boggs basically unpenaltied his way to a decent finish. Jackson Altman scores the last point unofficially. And that'll do it for this broadcast. Here, continues good in my face. Next week, I do believe, should be... not Portugal, that's not in the game, because EA are a bunch of studs. What would be after Portugal? Imola. I think Imola is probably next. So, until then, farewell.